Welcome back to our discussion of the Hebrew alphabet. We've gone through the alphabet itself and the Bagad Kafat letters, the letters that will take a Dagesh Lani, making them have a hard sound in their pronunciation. Without that sound, a softer, spirantized sound. I want to go a little bit further and just pick up a few additional items about the alphabet before we move on to vowel points. First, let's just say the alphabet one more time and think about how to remember how to say the alphabet as you work on that. Aleph, Beth, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Wow, Zion, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Tzadi, Kof, Resh, Sin, Shin, Tau. Now, this is the way we write the letters, but there are 5 letters that when they appear in the last position in a word have a distinctive final form. So I want to go over those just for a moment. The first of those with a final form that's distinctive is the letter Kaf. When it appears as the last letter in the word, it looks like a dalet, except that this vertical stroke is longer. To distinguish it from dalet, however, it will always have 2 dots in the belly. Those dots are called a schwa. It's the only letter that does this as in its final form. We'll talk about schwa when we come to vowel points, but it will always appear in the belly of the kaf in the final position. Second letter with a distinctive final form is mem. Remember that mem, I said, is one of the most difficult letters to write in its medial form. I have to be careful about that. In its final form, this becomes much simpler and is written simply as a box, as a square. Again, just as the medial form, you'll see that the stylized form in the grammar and the workbook and in published Hebrew text will be fancier than this, but simply write it as a box and you'll be fine. The next letter that has a final form that's distinctive is nun. Nun begins just like the medial form when it appears in its final form, except that instead of that vertical stroke at the bottom, this horizontal or the horizontal stroke at the bottom, the vertical stroke simply extends down further. No problem recognizing it. Next letter with a final form that's distinctive is the letter Pei. Similar to the nun, Pei, if you will, just straightens out that curve at the bottom. So the final form looks like that. And one more that has a distinctive final form is Tzadi. Tzadi, similarly, straightens out that curve at the bottom and so simply looks like this. So these 5 have distinctive final forms. A few more notes about the alphabet. There are 4 gutturals in the Hebrew alphabet that are very important. Aleph, Hey, Chet, and Ayin. And Resh typically also acts like a guttural. The important thing about the gutturals is the sound is made from the back of the throat. Think about saying the letter Hey or Chet or Ayin, as we said, which simply opens the throat. Aleph is a silent letter. These are letters that can't be doubled. And grammatically, that will become very, very important. Every letter except these can be doubled. They will be doubled by placing a mark that looks just like this in the belly of, for example, Tet or Mem or Nun. This is called a Dagesh forte, a strong Dagesh. It's strong because it doubles the letter. When a Bagad Kafat letter has a Dagesh in its belly, it may be Dagesh Lani or Dagesh Forte. We'll talk about how to distinguish between the two next time. If it is Dagesh Forte, that letter still gets a hard pronunciation, but it is also doubled. Again, more on that later on. Resh acts like the gutturals in that it typically will not take a Dagesh and will not double. One final thing, as we prepare for vowel points, there are three consonants that early in the writing of Hebrew came to signify vowels, even though the vowels were not being written. They are the letters Hey, Wow, and Yod. These three are known as matres lectionis, mothers of reading. They signal the presence of a long vowel. And we'll see this maybe most often at the end of words that end in a hey. At the end of words, the hey signaled a long A-class vowel typically. But these three told us that a long vowel was there, and we'll see that as we look at the vowel points. But know that before the vowels were being written, there were these signals for vowels in these three consonants as they were used at times. Well, that's all for now. As we prepare now to go to vowel points, we'll do that in the next lesson. And once we cover vowel points, we'll be able to begin to read real Hebrew words.